Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Heckma Harrison, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
It's a Tuesday inside the SWBC podcast studio, the morning after a national championship was won. A couple of days now after our championship game combatants were determined over the weekend as far as the NFC championship game and the AFC championship game. We got head coach hirings around the NFL, including one today that could affect this Cowboys coaching staff. We'll get into in just a moment. And so much more to get into. This is Mick Shots.
Yes, sir.
Bill Jones with Everson Walls, Heckma Harrison, and Mickey Spagnola.
All right, before we start, I need to apologize for my performance in our last show. Very unprofessional. I apologize to you that made it uncomfortable to run the show. Apologize to you for having to sit through the whole thing. Apologize to Chris for having to produce something that was below our standards. I apologize to Heckma escalating our argument by calling him a name and telling him to shut up. Apologize to all you guys and mostly to the listeners who had to sit through my temper tantrum. And hopefully we can continue to have civil conversations, even if we disagree, without me escalating everything. So hopefully you guys can accept that.
I
and you don't need to respond to anything. And we've got, 5 games to talk about that took place over the weekend. And also, and this might be the hardest part, I got a text message, I think it was Saturday, Sunday. I've lost track of the days. I think it was Sunday, that Cowboys former bus driver Emory Tyler passed away, had a heart attack. And if not for Emory driving the bus that day we had the accident, I wouldn't be sitting here right now because we got knocked off the road. And if he didn't drive that bus down the culvert where we got knocked into and drive it back up without us tipping over, he saved his own life and 3 of ours, including mine. So this one was very hard for me that to see that happen to such a gregarious guy that was really good at his job and what he did, and the sacrifices he made to drive that Cowboys bus for this organization for, 20, 25 years, something like that. So condolences to his family, and it's that one really hits me hard. So if we want to continue talking football, we can do that.
I got something to say as well. This past weekend, Chet Brooks from the San Francisco 49ers, he passed on. He worked with my foundation. He's an ethos champion, as we call him. We were working with his son, Terrence Brooks, who was at the University of Texas and then went to Illinois. And I was wondering what was going on with him because he dropped out of there as well. And I would imagine it's because of the bad health of his father. Just like
battling cancer.
Battling cancer. Wouldn't tell anybody. I was pretty close to the guy, and I'm thinking he's okay. But come to find out, he was not, which is the way Most brothers do it. You know, you don't want anybody to worry about you and things of that nature. So that family really needs our love as well, including what was going on with you, Spags. So, yeah, this is a somber moment on all sides in regards to people just gone too soon in our eyes.
And Chet Brooks, Texas Aggie out of Carter High School.
And born in Midland, Odessa. I didn't know that part of him because I have people in Midland, Odessa.
And Mickey, just so people know what happened. How long ago was that? That was on the way to training camp, right?
Yeah, it would be 10 years ago this July.
Okay.
July 25th. Something stick in your mind. I tried to do a search for Emory, and the only thing that came up, the first 10 things, was about the bus accident. We were between Arizona on our way to Vegas, and a car cut in front of us. It was the loudest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. I saw it for 1 second, and the next thing I knew, I was on the aisle of the bus, and I was grabbing onto the seat because I just knew this bus was getting ready to turn over, and somehow he kept it upright. Unbelievable. And, yeah, I owe him a lot. And the four of us walked off that bus alive. Unfortunately, the people in the car, 4 of them passed away instantly. So, yeah, it was a pretty traumatic thing.
Close, Spags.
But he, it's like, how did you do that? And he goes, I just went back to my training. That, this is what you do if you're knocked off the road. And he was able to do it. We ended up going, finally got picked up, took us to Vegas. They wanted us to spend the night, but the guy that picked us up said, I can drive you to Oxnard if you want. And it was like, are you sure? I've already faked death once. I don't want you to fall asleep, because it was going to be 10, 11 o'clock at night. And Emory was going to spend the night in the hotel and fly back to Dallas. And I said, okay. And he was distraught. I'll never drive the bus again, this and that. And I kept telling him, you saved 4 people. And I said, okay, I'm spending the night with you. Where are you going to sleep? I said, on the floor. I'm not getting into bed with you. And he kept going on, and I said, no, I'm spending the night. And he finally looked at us and said, when I get in the bus, my job, my responsibility is to deliver my passengers safely, and I did my job. We hugged, we kissed, and we departed. And the rest of us came to training camp, Foster and Jacob, myself, and Emory flew home. He ended up driving for a couple more years before he retired. It was about two years ago, maybe, something like that. He always wanted to retire. He grew up in Wichita Falls. And he goes, when I retire, I'm going back to, I said, you're going back to where? I said, do you remember how hot it is there?
Oh, my God.
But, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I got that text message the other night and really hit me hard. So,
and our condolences to Emory's family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we had a national championship decided last night. We had the divisional playoff weekend. Let me start with this on the coaching front, as a couple of hirings have been made here in the last 12 hours or so, apparently. So reportedly, the Dolphins are hiring Jeff Hafley, the Packers defensive coordinator, as their head coach. And then this morning, the news breaks that the Titans are reportedly hiring Robert Saleh as their head coach.
He's going to try it again, huh?
And so, of course, they just He won them, and he won over the Cowboys too. The Cowboys were very impressed with Saleh when he came a year ago to interview, and so it didn't take long for Saleh to get the attention of the Titans. Of course, he coached on Saturday night for San Francisco. He's a defensive coordinator there, but where it affects the Cowboys now, Aaron Whitecotton, defensive line coach here, he has coached with Saleh in the past, and he might be in line to be a DC for him with the Titans, and so there you go.
So did Saleh hire him when he went to the Jets?
They would have been together probably with San Francisco, I'm sure.
Right.
And then he was with the defensive line coach with the Jets when Saleh was there. And Whitecotton, a candidate for the DC job here, could be a candidate there as well. So anyway, I just bring that up as there's if you connect the dots.
Have we even whittled it down at all?
Okay, so how about we get into that? The in-person interviews reportedly. You say whittled it down. There have been how many, Mickey?
9.
Okay, 9.
That they've either spoken
were
to or
virtual interviews to start with, and then in-person interviews. There's been 3 or so that have been reported early this week.
So it was Gannon?
Jonathan Gannon, who Cardinals head coach, who was let go within the last 2 weeks. Time flies, and he's been here in the last few hours, I think. And then Durante Jones, the defensive pass game coordinator for the Vikings, and Christian Parker, the Eagles.
So one of the candidates I think they're interested in is Jim Leonard, but he's still working. So
as the assistant head coach and defensive pass game coordinator for the Broncos. And the rule on that, since the Broncos have advanced to the AFC Championship game, is you cannot do an in-person interview with a coach on one of those staffs until after the AFC Championship game. There is a window next week, though, where you can do the in-person. If they win and advance to the Super Bowl. Obviously, if they lose, you can do whatever. But if they win and go to the Super Bowl, there's a window next week where they can do in-person interviews.
How did he break his ankle, the quarterback? How
From
did
Denver? Yeah.
Bo Nix? I missed all of it.
Yeah, second to last play, he got rolled up. I mean, it looked pretty innocent, but it was enough to break his ankle.
And he finished, right?
He only played, I think, one more play after that.
Right.
Just a handoff or something?
Yeah. So, either way, I mean, when I got to stop myself from calling him Rich Gannon. I don't know. I guess. But, it would be on par with what the Cowboys have done is hiring DCs, that guys with that head coach experience. I really look. I think as this kind of plays out with the defensive coordinators, I'm not going to be privy to the information on what a guy's scheme is and how he plans on with guys like Quentin Williams and expanding his role on this defense. But that's what I want to know. I want to know what is the scheme of a guy that's going to come in and make this defense that was so bad, because there's nowhere to go but up, right? Nowhere to go but up. But what is the scheme that is going to turn this Dallas Cowboys defense around? And I think Gannon, obviously very qualified guy, has those years of experience. Are you guys in any way thinking about new blood, younger guys that may not have had that opportunity as a defensive coordinator or a head coach, but maybe have been a linebacker coach or a position coach instead? I mean, after seeing so much football this weekend, there were some guys that I was seeing, and I know we can't mention anyone, but there are some guys that I'm like, man, that would be cool to see this dude get an opportunity to be the new DC.
So if we're talking about how old is Shotty?
51.
51.
Yeah.
Would you think that he's the coach? There are some head coaches, they have their, for lack of a better term, mentor coming in. Usually he's older.
Yeah.
Do you think that he needs someone, a mentor type?
Oh, I like where you're going with this.
Yeah, like a mentor type of defensive coordinator, a guy that's a little of age.
You're talking about Pete Carroll. Okay. So, okay. All right. That's an interesting wrinkle also. And I think that was what was discussed before when he got hired, right?
Okay.
That was before, and I think Pete Carroll hadn't got hired with the Raiders yet.
Mm-hmm.
See, I can
true.
see him because a lot of times, coaching staffs have what you're talking about, and they're not the defensive coordinator, but they are
Assistant head coach.
senior advisor.
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
Yeah.
And in fact, and the thought crossed my mind when Pete Carroll was let go by the Raiders that if he's wants to come here, he's a West Coast guy,
Right.
And there is that relationship, But it would depend.
You can
on,
imagine he and Jerry here together.
But,
Come on, man.
But that would then depend on who the defensive coordinator is, because his background is on the defensive side.
That's right.
His DBs especially.
That's right.
And so that's a great thought, and that's something to look for as a possibility. We'll see.
So, they went out of their way to point out during that press conference that the next defensive coordinator doesn't have to be a former head coach. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what they've done previously, brought in a guy that was a head coach. I could see that happening. The other thing that, with all these guys they've interviewed, one of the reasons why they've cast this wide net is to pick guys' brains to, what did you see from us? What were we doing wrong? And if you were in charge, what would you do with the talent we have? Mm-hmm. Because they know that there was a lot of self-correction having to go on with the limited amount of talent they had on defense. And
limited
so,
amount of experience at some positions.
Yeah. And so they just want to pick guys' brains. The more you bring in. Jerry did it that year. I want to say when he hired Wade Phillips as head coach, they interviewed everybody under the earth for that job. But what he was doing was picking their brains to see, okay, now what did you see we were doing? Mm-hmm. What were we doing wrong? And if you had the opportunity, how would you correct this? So you get a lot of ideas from other people on what they think of your personnel, too.
Right.
Because that's got to be the question, right? This is what we got. Now, what would you do with it?
And do you want to come here and help us?
Right. And so scheme, yeah, fine, but you got to pick the guy's brain on what they're going to do, because you're not going to come in here and say, okay, we're running a 3-4, because they don't have the talent for that.
But to answer your question, and you talk about scheme, is I think they could go any direction as far as a defensive coordinator because of the personnel. Because you do have, when you look at the interior defensive lineman that could fit a 3-4 or a 4-3. I mean, with a base of Quinnen Williams as well as Kenny Clark and Oso Digizua, Solomon Thomas coming back. You got interior guys there that could be a 3-4. I mean, the canvas is blank as far as your edge guys. And so you can go either direction, whether it's – and so many teams are hybrid anyway,
You're multiple.
Days.
You play everything.
Exactly. But there is pieces in place there with what they did with the interior, with the Quinnen Williams trade and the Kenny Clark trade, that you can go with a 3-4 base for sure. And that's what Jonathan Gannon, by the way, had at Arizona.
When I look at this coaching carousel and the guys that are being picked up, for me, Everson, it's about, is this guy coming into a situation where he has a quarterback? And to me, the Robert Saleh hire, I think he's got to feel good about being the Titans head coach because of who Cam Ward is. Mm-hmm. Young quarterback, a ton of upside. All you have to do is draft well, put pieces around him. But defensively, I think he feels the same way as far as already having those key pieces in place to be able to be able to put something around him. So, I think for a defensive coordinator coming here, again, like you said, they're going to be multiple anyway. And you saw it at the end for Eberflus. He was pulling out every stop he possibly could. If it was 5, if it was 3, if it was – no matter what it's going to be, I'm just saying, look, for a guy like Quinnen Williams, how do you continue to build on a career that you would like to think at some point you automatically start saying this guy's a Hall of Fame kind of talent? How do you build on that with him? Because – what would you say DaRon Bland is as far as a corner? Would you say he's like some people say he's a man guy, zone guy? What do you call DaRon?
Oh, I think DaRon Bland's a man guy.
You think he's a
I think
man
he's
guy?
a man guy. Most of his interceptions that he's gotten, the biggest ones, when he's playing man-to-man.
So Savon Revel coming out of Eastern Carolina and what you've seen from him so far, would you say he's a man cover corner as well?
At this point, I don't know what he is because his injuries keep flaring up. His confidence is not there yet. I can't say what he is right now. Initially, I thought he was a man guy because of his ability to play man-to-man and see the ball. That's what I saw in college. I haven't seen that in the pros yet.
Yeah, that's the question that's got to get answered.
Yeah, it's got to get answered.
Well, I think if you watch some of these playoff games, teams were doing both. They were in man, they were in zone, they weren't in the same thing.
Sometimes they're in man and zone at the same time.
Yes. Yeah.
We were. We started off like that.
But some are doing it by design.
Right. And yes, we've seen that. Dak has seen that a lot. You got man on one side. That's pretty common, of course. But if you're going to come here, the first thing you're going to see is the other side of the ball. You're going to see, man, I have Dak, I have CD, I have Pickett. I mean, we have what we need on the offensive side. I think that's an attractive enough offer coming from the Cowboys for me to come to this team. I can I can complement this offense very well, and that would be the first thing I'd be thinking was how can I get players in here or work with the players I have to complement this Cowboys offense.
And what resources the Cowboys have looking ahead. The resources, now you got to do something on Pickens, whatever, and get a lead running back, Javonte.
You're going to always have
somebody,
to do something to somebody.
But most of the resources right now are going to go to the defensive side of the football, whether in free agency or in the draft. And so any defensive coordinator coming in here has got to be thinking, okay, I can lay the foundation on what we're doing as much as I'm not inheriting guys. I mean, there are guys obviously that you are inheriting, but there are key pieces and key resources that can go to guys that you really like to build.
Could you imagine all the defensive coordinators now who are working with abysmal offenses? Right? They're on the other side. So you can imagine, hey, I think I can do something here with, complementing this offense. That's very attractive. I don't think we would have a problem getting who we want in regards to defensive coordinator.
Yeah. And I think when guys look at it, if you think about it, the fact that the Cowboys with Dak Prescott, who had such a great season, they were within a game or two of at least winning 9-10 games, right? And that's how well he played. And I think in the playoffs, we understand that the quarterback makes a difference, right? And the Cowboys don't have to worry about that. Now, the other thing in play here is a lot of these guys that they've interviewed or talked to have opportunities to stay with their own team maybe when they hire the next head coach, right? Maybe I want to promote this guy to the defensive coordinator. Just take Denver, for example, right? What if Vance Joseph gets a head coaching job? Well, would Sean Payton elevate Jim Leonard to be the defensive coordinator? He doesn't have to change teams. And it's something he did in college at Wisconsin. So a lot of these guys, I bet they're sitting there going, okay, let's see what the next, domino falls before
it's a lot of them falling,
right?
It's a lot falling.
But they got to put their staffs together too, right? Now you got 3 new head coaches,
10 head coaches,
and 3 of them
10 head coach changes, and there's probably double the number of coordinator changes on top of that.
And so, would this delay a lot of decisions around the league?
What delays it as much as anything is if, for instance, a Vance Joseph, who, same deal with Jim Leonard, the Cowboys can't have an in-person interview with Leonard until next week.
Right.
Well, any team that's looking for a head coach, they can't do an interview with Vance Joseph until next week, or any other coach that's on these Final Four staffs.
And think about Flores at Minnesota, right? What if he gets a head coaching job? Would they think enough of their guy to elevate him to
Durante Jones, who interviewed here,
to be the defensive coordinator? So a lot of these things got to play out here. I would think after next week, maybe.
The question always comes like, okay, how do you rebuild? Do you start with bringing your own guys in if you're a DC. You know, I mean, I don't want to just look at the Cowboys, but any team. Do you start with
but they
bringing
have to,
in your own?
But they have to be available.
Right, and here's where the Cowboys got into it last year, because they were conducting a head coach search that went all the way to the end of January. They were in the same boat, and that's why on the side they're talking to Eberflus, because whoever they hired as the head coach, who turns out to be Schottenheimer, they didn't want to lose who they perceived to be, or they had a relationship with Eberflus. Didn't want them to get out the building and go someplace else where you've got no one to hire as you're kind of getting now. As you get into this week and next week, you're getting into that stage of this where, okay, let's say someone knocks them off their feet in the interview and they're, this is our guy. Then you can go ahead and,
So it's like everyone is affected, because even the players themselves, there's going to be a defensive coordinator might come in and like, I'm not dealing with you guys. I'm bringing somebody else in.
If they're available.
Because if they're available,
right.
Once again, and that's going to delay his thought process in regards to, do I make this move now and cut this guy, or and bring in my own guy? Well, my own guy, he's dealing with a new defensive coordinator coming in over here, and now, maybe I want to keep this cornerback and.
So as far as the carousel goes, we thought we had everybody on the carousel until yesterday, and then Sean McDermott gets on the carousel. And
wow.
And so that throws a whole nother twist to the whole thing. Okay. Now
that firing.
It wasn't a carousel. That was throwing under the bus.
That's true.
I was going to say, that firing was really interesting.
But think about this. Like, for instance, let's say Mike McCarthy's agent. Okay. We got you in at Tennessee. You got an in-person interview there. We got you in your hometown of Pittsburgh, and then all of a sudden they got to call. Sean McDermott. Forget what.
Hold on for that. We got a chance at McDermott. No, that's true. Right. Give Chicago credit for taking that shot on Ben Johnson,
man,
and how that's come through as far as a first-year coach is concerned, and him putting the staff together. I think what they've done, him and Dennis Allen, when we talk about coach and defense.
There's another one from last year. Dennis Allen was available.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, they put that together, but it worked out perfectly. Maybe didn't get them to where they wanted to be as far as a first-year coach, though. I think you got a ton of success and a tremendous amount of upside with that organization.
All right, we got to take a break. We're way past on a break, and we'll be back with. And let's what can we learn from these teams still playing when we come back here on Mick Shots?
Oh man!
Hey, Cowboy fans, Keith Davis here, former Cowboys safety.
Keith Davis into the end zone.
You know what separates champions from the rest? Making the right move at the right moment. With blockchain.com, that's never been easier. The Cowboys became America's team by striking bold when it mattered most. Now it's your turn. Invest like your icons with blockchain.com. Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys today to get started and learn more. That's blockchain.com/Cowboys.
Miller Lite, the legendary light beer. The originator, the inventor. If this beer could talk, it'd tell stories about that one time, that night, that one guy, that one gal, writing a story 50 years long and 50 million friends wide, because legendary stories start with a light. Here's to 50 years of Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
The National Medal of Honor Museum is now open in Arlington, Texas, just a few blocks from AT&T Stadium. Immersive exhibits and exciting technology allow you to fly a rescue helicopter mission in Vietnam and have conversations with virtual Medal of Honor recipients. Come be inspired by these incredible stories of ordinary Americans who did the extraordinary. Get your tickets at mohmuseum.org.
We've all been there. You hold onto a coupon, hoping to cash it in at the store, but then you forget about it. And suddenly you've got a mountain of useless expired coupons.
Do you think this one's still good? Free milk.
Oh, mate, that expired in 1993.
Dang it.
Fortunately, there are better ways to save money, like by switching to Geico. You could save about $900 on car insurance without ever touching a coupon.
Ooh, how about this one? Half off floppy disks.
Now, you should try a bit of spring cleaning.
It feels good to save big. It feels good to Geico.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cowboys Nation, Tom Gibson has been named your 2025 Dallas Cowboys Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan for his dedication to the team and spicing up the game. Vote for Tom to be named the ultimate NFL Fan of the Year at NFL.com/fan of the year.
Okay, let's get focused here.
Yeah.
We've got 2 segments to go. We got about 10 minutes for each segment.
Let's do it.
We've got a full slate of shows here. And let's save the national championship game for the last segment. And what are we learning from these playoff teams? And I'll start. I'm learning a lot from those Seattle Seahawks and how they play defense. That front for the Seattle Seahawks is awesome to watch. And, of course, D-Law is one of those guys.
Let me say, I like to always eat crow when I don't like to, but
Now's your turn.
Now's my turn.
Yeah.
D-Law was talking trash about Michael Parsons. He said, I'm going to go further than he's going to go. And I'm like, man, Seattle ain't going to do nothing. Well, sorry, D-Law, you were right.
He gets the last word.
Yeah, he gets the last word on that one because they are balling, bro.
And I gotta send a direct tweet about this, and I said, look, let's not gloss over the fact that he's playing with some goons on that front line.
No doubt, no doubt.
It's what a difference a Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams makes.
Byron Murphy from DeSoto,
Come on.
DeSoto, you.
And just, I mean, that defense to me, and even though they've had some injuries on the back half of it, when you have a front that plays like that, man, it makes everything it runs so much easier. I can't wait for this NFC Championship game. This is one game that I am excited to sit down and watch.
Yeah, I could kind of relate to D-Law in regards to going to another team. It's such a game changer because you don't necessarily have to change what you do. What D-Law came to the Seahawks with this ability. He could see it. He knew that with his supporting staff that he was going to be able to wreak havoc the way he's done.
Yeah.
And this entire defensive line. So going into that new environment, coming from where he was here, we always saw him. We always lifted him up. We saw what he was doing. We saw what he was a man.
He was playing like this last year, and then he got hurt with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
4 games in, he gets hurt.
But he's always held it down. He's always held it down, even on a defense that has had serious problems, especially as far as stopping the run. And for him to go there and have the foresight, insight, or whatever, to go there and understand that this is the team that he needs to be on, regardless of who the quarterback is. You got your running back there. He took his chance, and so we'll see how far he goes.
Well, he followed his defensive line coach there. Aiden Dirty ended up being the defensive coordinator. So I bet that had a lot to do with his decision, not only to sign there, but for them to go after him. Because Dirty understood that he was the Cowboys' best run-stopping defensive end. And he went up there and did both.
The only run-stopping defensive end.
And so, and he did I saw the whole thing. It was at least a 10-minute interview. And at the end, he said, well, I got a better chance of going to the Super Bowl here than with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a flippant thing, and everybody got all up in arms about, you can't say that. But
facts are facts.
He said it, and, the way they hit, the way they play defense. So I had a question about McDermott getting fired. If they rule Brandon Cooks a catch, is he fired?
It's crazy.
He's still playing.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think? Did the NFL just gloss over that decision? They didn't even stop.
And McDermott was right in the postgame. Whether you believe it was a catch or not a catch or whatever, how do you not stop the game and sit there and review it?
I want to be honest with you. Ever since Dez's catch, I have stopped being upset about what is a catch and what is not a catch in the NFL anymore. If they rule it a catch, fine. If they don't, fine. It's
got to be a criteria though. Right?
We're going to drive ourselves crazy trying to figure this out because they didn't go back to review it. There was no serious consideration of ever overturning it.
It is reviewable.
It is.
It is being reviewed in real time. They're looking at it, and then they stop the game.
They didn't think it was warranted to. Okay, maybe we should.
Well, and he even called timeout to give them
more time.
opportunity.
They still didn't.
And they still didn't. Why? Why not? Were they in a hurry? They didn't want the next game to start late?
No. There were so many like calls. Like that was one. That was one. In that game specifically, there were calls that were made that I at one point you're letting them play, and then at another point you're not letting them play. Right. That call to me was so pivotal at that point in the game. I was heartbroken for Buffalo that they said that was an interception. But I'm a defensive guy. I'm going to side with the defense every time anyway.
I thought it was a pick. And the only reason I say that is because the DB got his hand in there as he was trying to make the catch. It stopped the receiver from being able to say, okay, I had it.
Completing the catch.
Completing it.
Okay.
It stopped him from completing it. Thank you. His hand being in there, and he's the one that finished the play because he never gave up on it. It was all his hand was always in there preventing the catch.
But he had it with two hands.
Spoken like a true
and he was
guy.
on the ground when the thing reversed.
But did that ground cause it to?
No, he still had it. I thought.
But he had it
with one hand. I have it with two hands. So who's got?
Is it long enough? Was it long enough? You know, that was just like an instant. If you talk about momentum, then as you follow through with it, you finish the play with the ball.
But you can't finish it when you're already on the ground.
Yeah, but hitting the ground kind of caused him to not really have the control that he wanted.
Okay, so let's put it this way. Let's say that it wasn't an interception, but the defensive player had his hand in there, as you're saying, and the ball got loose and it fell on the ground. Is it still a catch for Cooks if it went incomplete?
No, it's incomplete.
So that means it's intercepted then, because it didn't hit the ground.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, that's what they're.
I did not see a replay that confirmed it either way.
Either way. Yeah.
But that's why they've got in the command center more replays than we get.
Have we gotten the word from the command center or the NFL?
No, they never went to it.
No.
I mean, have we?
But they had the pool report from the
afterwards. I mean,
right.
The pool reporter with the head referee, and he's not going to disagree with their decision.
And Walt Anderson, who I don't know if he's still the head of.
No, he's not.
But he's former head of.
They got to make a statement.
They did. I mean, the head referee did the pool report. But
he's in consultation with the review.
When you go in for the pool report, it's the most intimidating thing you've ever done.
Yeah, I heard you were scared of these coaches, man. Yeah, you made me mad, man, with that, man. You can't be like that, man. Go in there with your
courage. And you do, but you know what? When you try to ask a follow-up question, I've given my answer.
They in there smoking cigarettes and drinking.
It's awful.
You step in there like step into a bar.
And I could have told you what he was going to say.
Tough neighborhood.
I could have told you what he was going to say, right?
Man, you can go get some brothers off in there, man. Let's go.
We ruled it an interception, and that's what we saw. Well, what did you see? Because you were 50 yards away from the play.
Okay,
He's taken the word of one official.
Right. So the play of the weekend.
Yes.
Okay, we got to talk about the play of the weekend. Caleb Williams made the play of the weekend. Now, unfortunately, they didn't win the game, but I guess I want to hook Caleb Williams up to a polygraph machine and ask him one question.
What?
Did you see the receiver before you threw that ball?
Hell no.
Because
come on, man, we can't dog him.
I'm just look. It's like those Hail Marys. I mean, we got the Hail Mary Plaza down here. I mean, did you see him, or did you just say Drew's down there somewhere, right? It's because when he turned and ran the other way, I said, "Oh my, no!" I mean, my life
to create space.
It flashed before my eyes.
All he needed was space.
But to turn around and throw, I mean. What a play by Caleb Williams. And
it wasn't like the ball went here. The ball went like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was hands down one amazing play.
It was fourth down?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So he's thinking, I just got to get rid of it. Let me throw it as far as I can.
I'm not eating this.
Right? Because even if I throw it, it's incomplete, whatever, but it's their ball. So let me just heave it. That's what he did.
Yeah.
That was more of a Hail Mary.
Because the tight end wasn't open when he threw it.
Well, I mean, but
he
still,
hadn't pushed off yet.
I'm sure. I know. I'm sure he's looking at the fact that the tight end is bigger than the guy.
Or figured where he should.
It's going to be a jump ball. No, he's throwing it for a jump ball. He's throwing it for a jump ball.
Yeah,
right.
That was all he was doing, and it wasn't even that dramatic.
Well, it was like throwing a Hail Mary.
You still got to throw it inbounds. And there's so many quarterbacks that can't throw the Hail Mary; they throw it out of bounds.
If you compare like Dak's weird pass that we had early in the season where he made that amazing throw in the stadium down the end zone. And I don't know how the heck he made it.
Yeah.
But Dak's ball went like that. Hell of a play.
Right.
To me, the second best pass all season. That was the first best. But his ball went like this.
Yeah.
Caleb's went.
At least when we birthed the Hail Mary, Roger knew where he was throwing the ball to Drew.
That was a call.
Right?
Yeah.
This was just, I got to get rid of him.
It's ad lib.
And then
but with Caleb,
yes,
you're going to get the spectacular, and then you're going to get what you got in overtime.
Why was he in a hurry? He didn't need to hurry. They could have kept nickel and diming their way down.
He thought the man was open.
He did. And
the route the man was running, DJ Moore was running, was not what Caleb thought he was running.
Yeah, and a lot is going to come out about that. I'm sure everybody's talking about. I thought DJ quit on the route.
He did.
Yeah, and the ball was there, and that's what obviously you get the interception. Caleb Williams had a crazy season for him.
Crazy season.
You know, a guy that was almost about to be put on the scrap heap. I just think that's, to me, this season really said a lot about what his upside is. I've said that a lot on this show, but just a guy like him showing that, man, if Ben Johnson comes in, designs an offense for him, it looks like it's dink and dunk at certain points, but, man, his ability to improvise, create with his feet, I can't wait to see what he does, man.
I'm waiting on consistency still because you're surrounded with a hell of a running game. You're surrounded with a hell of a defense.
Yes, sir.
And they give him so many chances, which is what every quarterback wants. Give me these chances to do what I got to do. And he comes through in that regard. But the consistency that leads up to that, I think is still lacking at this point.
We saw why Caleb Williams was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And when we come back here on Mick Shots, we'll talk about why one of the quarterbacks playing last night will not be the number 1 pick in the draft.
Mendoza.
Hey, Cowboy fans, if you're thinking about attending a game this season, visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today. Stay at the team hotel, have dinner with a Cowboys legend, and experience the best sports venue in the world, AT&T Stadium. Also, tour the Star, get autographs from your favorite players, and talk X's and O's with me, Mickey Spagnola. The official travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys will take care of all your travel needs. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your package today.
We all do it. You keep singing the wrong lyrics to a song, even though you know they're wrong. You stick with them.
So, what you're saying is, it's I love you, babe, and not lasagna, babe?
Reminds me of how people might be sticking with the wrong insurers. But switching to Geico can get you the right coverage for the right price.
Oh, man. This whole time, I thought Fire in My Heart was referencing the heartburn from the lasagna.
I hate to break it to you, mate.
It feels good to get it right. It feels good to Geico.
Hey, Cowboy fans. Keith Davis here, former Cowboys safety.
Keith Davis into the end zone.
You know what separates champions from the rest? Making the right move at the right moment. With blockchain.com, that's never been easier. The Cowboys became America's team by striking bold when it mattered most. Now it's your turn. Invest like your icons with blockchain.com. Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys today to get started and learn more. That's blockchain.com/Cowboys.
Miller Lite, the legendary light beer. The originator, the inventor. If this beer could talk, it'd tell stories about that one time, that night, that one guy, that one gal. Writing a story 50 years long and 50 million friends wide. Because legendary stories start with a light. Here's to 50 years of Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cowboys Nation, Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, is exclusively in the Dallas Cowboys app. Join the official fan club today to receive access to Cowboys Drops, where you can win game tickets, autographed items, exclusive experiences, and more. Download the app now to join.
All right, final 5 minutes here of Mick shots. And we talked about Caleb Williams and his great pass the other night, and I was just yelling at my TV at the end of last night's national championship game. You can't, on first down with 50 seconds left, Carson Beck, throw that ball where you threw that ball. You got to throw it to the sideline. You might have a touchdown and win the national championship if you do so. He won't be the top pick in the draft, but the other guy might be, Fernando Mendoza.
Can I ask you guys, there's a beef around the country with Indiana. Are they NIL gone wild?
Mark Cuban.
I'm just asking.
Not just like
not just the money, but what are the age of these players?
Well, that's the key, and that's where.
That's the key.
Yeah,
they're mature.
They've been.
Are they like BYU gone wild?
No, they're not. No. I mean, they're.
I mean, you know, like you know, they go on a mission. You know, like BYU go to a mission.
Nobody's ever said that at BYU.
But
Go ahead.
A lot of those guys transferred with him from James Madison. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like they were picking off the cream of the crop. Mm-hmm. Right?
You know, he coached in a national championship game right here in Frisco. James Madison against North Dakota State, and you know who his quarterback was? Ben DiNucci.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Who, by the way, is now on the Broncos practice squad. He benefits from the Bo Nix injury.
Is there such a thing as being a genius by accident?
Oh, yes.
And maybe Signetti hit something that – because, look, and I'm sure that and we can all agree that the college football is broken, but I'm sure that other coaches are going to subscribe to that same theory of bringing in fifth-year players to try and have that lightning in the bottle that you believe that Indiana had. Look, they were supposed to be the older team. They're the older team, but – Miami, to me, was still the more physical team. And if Miami didn't shoot themselves, let's be real, they shot themselves in the foot with a ton of the penalties that they had. They had opportunities to win this game, but Indiana was the better coach team. They executed.
They're more mature.
They have players too.
And I would give them credit. I'll give them credit. I give them credit for that. But I just feel like, you know, Signetti, for everything that he did, these guys went undefeated in the Big Ten. In the playoffs.
They played like grown men.
Crazy.
They played like grown men. Yeah. The way they played their game. Okay, we're older than you. We're stronger than you. We're more developed.
Smarter.
That's the way the game. The whole season went.
Yeah. They're just strategic. Like they are strategic in what type of player that they are recruiting and giving the NIL money. And Mark Cuban talked about it before the game. It's you can't just funding the NIL and sending the money. You can't just buy the highest paid players, whatever. You're putting a team together. And you have certain roles on the team, and there's certain personalities, certain character traits that you have to have in that. Now, he had a huge advantage in that there were last year, I think, 9 or 10 transfers from James Madison who could play at that level, who have been in the system for several years now. So there's your core, both offense and defense. He's got some wide receivers that, I mean, they were strategic. There are certain positions you got to get the talent, and those wide receivers he has, those running backs he has are terrific. But offensive line, a lot of times,
they will.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't have to get the
Miami's
talented.
D-line is really tough. Yeah. Miami's D-line, they're thirsty. Yeah, they are thirsty.
Would you trade up to get Bain?
Man, he was balling.
And the other guy.
he looked like Quinton.
Mizador?
He looked like Quinton.
Like
Mizador, the other guy?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Impressive.
And I'll guarantee you Indiana didn't have to pay to get Charlie Becker on their team.
Yeah, he was maybe the long holdover. He
wasn't a transfer. Yeah.
He was already there.
So to me, they remind me of Texas Tech. Almost the same type of philosophy in regards to how they put their team together, not on the offensive side of the ball, but defensively. Those are some grown men over there. with some thick mustaches.
And like Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker.
They call him the mustache gang?
Yeah, man.
Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker for Texas Tech,
Yeah.
it was a fringe Heisman Trophy candidate, whatever, won every defensive award.
That's the guy.
Well, he's going to be a third-day draft pick. He's not going to be a top 100 pick. Okay. And I was talking to Will McClay about it. Why is Indiana so good? And last week he actually pulled out, okay, see these guys here?
Right.
He had it on his phone.
Right.
And, Miami's got all these guys that are, if they've got 12 or 13 draft prospects this year, half of them are in the top 100. Indiana, you got 12 or 13 draft prospects, and most all of them are third-day guys. But that's good enough because they're experienced, and they got 3 years on the Miami guys. And so you got more mature and players who have more experienced players. Yeah.
Was Mendoza known when he was at Cal that you said, oh, I'm going to get that guy?
Not enough that he batted.
His numbers at Cal weren't great.
Yeah, not enough that he was on the radar, but clearly Cignetti knew about him.
Because, he was at Cal for what, 2-3 years? Never heard of him.
I saw him play. He was okay.
Yeah.
The game I happened to see, he won. I just remember that, yeah. But otherwise, he came into a position where that team was a team. And that's what you get, a mature team, just as Bill was talking about. These are pretty much grown men put together to play against some very exceptional younger men. Very exceptional. But when it came down to it, it was the experience that won out.
And a quarterback draw.
A quarterback draw.
Heck of a play.
It was.
And
did you go back and listen to it? Because when they were describing the play.
And it's 9:50, Mick. 9:50.
I know that.
Sorry.
Trying to shut it down, but I'm with you, Mick. I'm with you.
He was all excited. It was a first down, and then it's a touchdown.
It's a touchdown.
And then by winning the game, he got to use his post-game speech that he's written out throughout the week. He hit all his bullet
he was
points.
running for office. I didn't know what
He may
I
be.
was doing.
I remember.
It's no wonder he didn't get his wristband, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I
All
want to
right,
thank,
my next
and
topic.
Glory to God. And then, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. And there's more programming coming your way shortly here on DallasCowboys.com. Thank you, Producer Supreme. You're doing yeoman work. And we'll see you Monday at 11 a.m. on Mix Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!